from the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
Roads may be slick in some parts of central Indiana tonight thanks to the snow. Good evening to you at 11. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino. WRTV Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is tracking more snow in the weekend forecast. Hey, Kevin.
And snow showers continue right now. We'll show this to you in a second, but the theme of the weekend, periods of snow showers. As far as additional snowfall, looking at 1 to 2 inches, and that's really over the next 48 hours. So we'll see little contributions to that total by the end of the weekend. There's the area of snow south of Indy. All this moving to the northeast, and again, it may limit visibility and create some slick spots as temperatures are now below the freezing mark. Just to show you, tomorrow morning we'll start out with maybe some breaks in the cloud cover, but clouds fill back in, and then here comes the snow once again with snow showers popping up and starting to cover central Indiana 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll finish the timeline for tomorrow, talk about Sunday's snow, and there's a definite highlight to see in next week's forecast that's coming up.
The Indiana State House complex will be closed to the public through Wednesday in response to possible protests related to next week's presidential inauguration. State legislative meetings are also canceled next week. No parking signs have been posted around the area. The governor's office says this is being done out of an abundance of caution. The FBI says as of now it has not received any specific and substantiated threats in Indiana related to any government buildings. Downtown businesses have been warned about a planned protest on Sunday afternoon. The Indianapolis Post Office is also taking protest precautions. Downtown mail collection boxes on Market Street, West Washington Street, and Senate Avenue are sealed through Wednesday. The agency says protests could disrupt delivery in isolated areas.
A massive security effort is underway in Washington amid concerns of more violent threats. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze reports this comes as we continue to learn more about the attack on the U.S. Capitol.
With 5 days to go until President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration, the nation's capital on high alert.
As of this morning, the Secretary of the Interior has officially closed the areas in the National Mall.
Thousands of National Guard members patrolling the streets, and more than 25,000 Guard expected to be in place by next week. Some speaking out to ABC's Martha Raddatz about last week's deadly attack on the Capitol.
There were veterans in the crowd.
It weighed on my heart heavy to feel that brothers and sisters that served before me, that paved the way for us serving today, were taking part in such an act.
Police officers on duty during the attack are now sharing first-hand accounts of the violence. Officer Michael Fanone grabbed by the mob, taken down and beaten with the pole of an American flag.
People started chanting, kill him with his own gun. At that point, self-preservation kicked in. I remember thinking, I could kill some of these guys, but that would give them the justification that they were looking for, I think, to kill me.
And the FBI is now warning about possible new threats from domestic violent extremists. Among the FBI's top concerns for Inauguration Day, the substantial threat of improvised explosive devices. Sources tell ABC News an inauguration rehearsal planned by the Biden team Sunday has been postponed. But tonight, the president-elect projecting confidence about his security.
Do you feel safe about Wednesday based on the intelligence that you've seen? Yes.
And sources tell ABC News President Trump will depart Washington the morning of January 20th, just hours before President-elect Joe Biden takes the oath of office. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
Now to the latest on the COVID crisis. More than 259,000 people in Indiana have received the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. That's according to the State Department of Health. Tonight, Community Health Network is sharing video from one of its vaccination sites. This is 80-year-old Rhonda Patel getting a vaccine. She shared this advice for those who may be hesitant to do the same.
I would say I would rather have a few aches and pains if I have any reaction. I'm not going to be intubated. I'm not going to be isolated from everybody in the hospital. And I just feel very secure about the approval, the process. And so I have no concern, no fears about the vaccine itself.
And Rhonda plans to return to volunteering at Community Health in a few weeks.
While the vaccine is reason to have hope, the virus is still killing, hospitalizing, and infecting Hoosiers at alarming rates. Tonight, I asked Dr. Chris Weaver, the Chief Clinical Officer at IU Health, When could we see the impact of vaccinations on those rates?
We're all guessing some at this and what the impact's going to be, but I really believe that as you start moving into February, we're going to see significant impact. First of all, healthcare workers got vaccinated early, and we'll see that helps us a great deal in being able to take care of the amount of people that are coming our way so that people aren't quarantined at home or aren't sick and unable to take care of the patients. So that's a big deal as far as our progress. And then as we've opened up to the states opened up to over 80 and now over 70 years old, when you look at our data across the state, that's over half of the people coming in the hospital and even having death are in those age groups.
Dr. Weaver says right now the vast majority of people are coming back to get their second dose of the vaccine, and he stresses those doses are not going to waste in Indiana. We told you earlier this week health systems and departments have procedures in place to prevent that, including standby lists of people who are eligible.
Health officials are asking Hoosiers to be patient when trying to register for a COVID vaccine. Working for you, we're getting answers to some of your questions about getting an appointment. Peggy Morgan lives in Avon. She registered to get vaccinated at a location in Hendricks County through the site ourshot.in.gov. But when she tried to register her husband, all slots were filled. So she looked outside of Hendricks County.
I went on down the line. There was a lot of underneath. There was Marion County, Eskenazi, Ascension, all those. And I was able to get my husband an appointment at Eskenazi for this Saturday. It was real simple. It is so easy to do.
The state health department urges Hoosiers who want a COVID vaccine to continue checking the department's website. As Peggy found out, you do not have to get vaccinated in the county where you live. Again, the website to register is ourshot.in.gov, or you can call 211.
A lawmaker who represents parts of Marion County is looking to pass a state law that could put a halt to plans for more mass transit in Indianapolis. WRTV's Cameron Riddle shows you how the law would enforce a rule that's already on the books and how penalties could impact projects that have been in the works for years.
Despite Marion County voters approving a referendum to expand mass transit in 2016, Senate Bill 141, proposed by Senator Aaron Freeman, would make it more difficult for Indigo to operate and expand bus rapid transit.
As a bus rider, it's just a slap in the face. You want to talk about an adult in the room. What about the 60% of adults in Marion County that voted for this? I think this is a slap in the face to all of us that voted for this.
The new law would create penalties if Indigo doesn't fund at least 10% of its operating budget with money from sources other than taxes and fares. A second rule would penalize Indigo again if the annual total from ridership fares doesn't equal 25% of the system's operating budget. State law already requires those funding amounts, but doesn't include a consequence if Indigo comes up short. The bill Freeman is proposing would cut Indigo's funding as a punishment for not making ends meet.
It's not new. It's been in law for a long time. Indigo's just not living up to it. And again, it's one of those things where they probably thought nobody would ever hold them accountable for it.
Indigo says it is already meeting or exceeding its funding requirements. But if Indigo were to come up short because of factors like the pandemic, the proposed penalty would withhold additional funding from tax dollars. That could prevent Marion County from completing the purple and blue rapid transit lines and related projects.
These are really important investments that are going to improve transit service as well as pedestrian safety, repaving roads, improving drainage.
Bus riders like Jeffrey Tompkins are asking lawmakers why threaten the growth of mass transit.
What is he offering as an alternative? That's my question as a bus rider. What is the alternative if you're not going to provide transit? Because I don't see one, Mr. Freeman.
I think the days of fixed bus lines, for example, from point A to point B, I think we're going to look back on that in the not too distant future and see the short-sightedness of that. I think we need to move more towards, Uber. I mean, you can get on your phone and with a click of a button, have a car out in front of your house in a couple of minutes and go anywhere in the city you want.
Senator Freeman makes it clear he is not against Indigo or local bus transportation. He says some constituents have asked him to block the proposed blue line, which runs through the northern end of his district and would reduce travel lanes on Washington Street.
Red line is what it is. Purple line is going to be what it is. Cameron, I don't represent either one of those areas. I'm here to tell you, I do represent the area when you talk about the blue line, and folks do not support the blue line in terms of one lane each direction. That is going to be a huge problem. It is going to be a traffic nightmare.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
Well, there's opposition to the blue line. Indigo points out that there is wide support for rapidly getting to the east and west sides of the city and connecting the airport with downtown. Senator Freeman's bill has been assigned to the Senate Transportation Committee. We will keep you updated on its progress.
Still ahead tonight in sports, a look at some of the top high school basketball matchups around central Indiana. And next,
access is important. People are not excited about going into the doctor's office.
The pandemic is creating a growing market for at-home health screening tests. What supporters and critics say about the trend, and a little later.
I could not believe that I'm witnessing in my own time this happening in the United States Capitol.
A Holocaust survivor shares a powerful message and a warning in response to the attack in our nation's capital.
America's #1 Tempur-Pedic retailer.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
From cancer screenings to cholesterol checks, demand for at-home testing kits has spiked during the pandemic. Scripps reporter Amanda Brandeis looks at some of the most popular options and what customers should know.
From online shopping to food on demand, industries built for convenience became essential as cities shut down. Healthcare was no different.
The COVID-19 pandemic has supercharged the market for at-home testing.
Derek Newell is president of Let's Get Checked. With over 30 types of at-home testing kits, they were ready to help fill the gap.
People still need to get care, and people need to get testing.
He says more people are discovering the range of tests that can be delivered to your doorstep.
The tests that we've seen the most growth in are those related to condition management, like colorectal cancer screening,
as well as cholesterol and thyroid tests. The kits come with how-to videos, like this one the company shared with us.
Your sample collection kit
provide people very easy to follow instructions.
Customers send their sample to a lab and get results within days.
If you have an abnormal result, Let's Get Checked clinicians will call you.
Let's Get Checked says combined with their at-home COVID test, demand is up more than 800%. Another company, Everlywell, is also reporting massive growth, noting spikes in fertility, heart health, and vitamin deficiency tests.
Access is important. People are not excited about going into the doctor's office.
Newell says their non-COVID test kits are FDA cleared and approved and processed in certified labs. They cost between $49 and $349.
We analyzed over 10,000 results with the FDA and convinced them that these tests, including the human error, were as accurate as a test that would be done in the physician's office.
Laboratory tests are complicated artifacts.
Dr. Sheldon Campbell is a professor of laboratory medicine at Yale. He says while at-home testing can improve access to health care, he has concerns with the growing trend.
So a test that's ordered on somebody that doesn't need it is not only wasteful, it also is potentially dangerous, because a false positive test can lead you away from the true diagnosis.
He sees some value in categories like STDs, which carry a stigma, but Campbell believes many conditions are best diagnosed by your doctor.
Knows your medical history, and can put your new illness in the context of what you've got going on beforehand.
He says results taken out of context could lead to unnecessary additional testing and treatment, and real problems could be missed. But Newell points out human error can also happen in a doctor's office and believes convenience will drive the future of healthcare. I'm Amanda Brandeis reporting.
It's been a while since we've seen some snow. We have more in the forecast this weekend. This is not the forecast. This is how much we've had the entire season. just 3.1 inches. Typically, we would have had a foot of snow at this point. We've had less than a half an inch so far today. Area of low pressure sits to our west, and spinning around that are all the snow showers. We'll stay within the circle of snow through Sunday. As far as the snow showers overnight tonight, they'll continue to pinwheel from southwest to northeast. Again, some light accumulations expected. 35 the high tomorrow, 33 on Sunday. Snow showers around both days. More on the timing in a second. Our snow chance in the morning, not that high. It goes up as we get to the afternoon and into the evening hours. Almost the same rhythm as what we had today. There's some breaks in the cloud cover in the morning. There's your early afternoon snow, and then we take that to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, still ongoing, and through the evening hours, the snow in the eastern portion of the state. 11 o'clock at night, still some light snow at times. That will begin to fade away as we go through the overnight. And then during the day Sunday, we'll continue with snow showers again across central Indiana as far as additional snowfall in the 1 to 2 inch range. It doesn't come all at one time. As I just showed you, you've got these different pockets of snow showers over the next 48 hours that will contribute to this total. And with temperatures above freezing, that will help melt on some of the roadways. Temperature of about 35 tomorrow afternoon. That's with a west wind 10 to 15, so it will feel colder than that. Sunday, lots of cloud cover, snow showers, temperatures a little bit colder, which means this will have a little better opportunity to stick and create slick spots. It's bridges, overpasses, wherever the air can get under the roadway. Those are the first to become slick as far as what we do next week. We're dry Monday. Mostly cloudy, temperature at 32. Temperatures warm up a little bit from there. Tuesday's high is 38. That's not the warmest. The highlight of next week will be a 43-degree temperature. That's on Thursday. That point warm enough that we'll see some rain showers around, but that will be pulled right out from under us. Temperatures will be cooler by Friday, back to 33 degrees. Everybody have a good weekend. Mark?
You too, Kevin. Thank you. Tonight we are getting perspective on the attack at the U.S. Capitol from a man who survived the Holocaust. Ben Shamiso with our partners at Newsy has his story.
USA! USA! Do not ever take your freedoms for granted. Do not ever think that those freedoms cannot be extinguished in a flash of political unrest.
Death camp survivor David Lenga watched the storming of the U.S. Capitol last week with absolute horror, deeply pained by the realization that the lessons of the Holocaust have not been learned.
Me and my community of the Holocaust survivors are not only totally outraged, but we are absolutely in disbelief.
Lenga, who is 93, says the attack on Congress brought back vivid memories of the 1933 burning of the German parliament, which paved the way for Nazi dictatorship.
I could not believe that I'm witnessing in my own time this happening in the United States Capitol.
Adding insult to injury for Lenga was seeing images of a rioter wearing a Camp Auschwitz sweatshirt. Lenga, who was born in Poland, was deported to Auschwitz when he was 17. He lost 98 family members during the Holocaust.
They want their America white, Anglo-Saxon, and pure. They don't want anyone else infecting their nation.
After escaping from a Nazi death march in 1945, Lenga was rescued by American soldiers. Today, he says, it's America's turn to rescue itself from the growing threat of far-right nationalism.
The idea that these people were driven by was so horrendous and so ingrained in them.
He urges other Americans to take full stock of the danger and urgency of the present moment.
You cannot be apathetic. You cannot be indifferent to what is going on. When the Holocaust happened, nobody raised their voices. There were no sit-ins. There were no placards on the streets. There were no student demonstrations. There was nothing. Even the Pope was silent. The whole world let it happen. We cannot afford a repeat of that.
Ben Shamiso, Newsy.
Follow us on social media
It's Friday, and that means a busy night for high school basketball. Our coverage tips off with WRTV's Brad Brown.
Let's start with the semifinals of the Marion County boys basketball tourney. Pike and #1 Lawrence North. Third game in 4 nights for the Cats. 1-point game at halftime. Neither team led by more than 6 the rest of the way. Pike would go in front in the third. Sophomore Devin Woods hits the 3. Game tied 36 all as they went to the fourth. It stayed a 1-possession game for several minutes. Shamar Avance drives the lane in traffic, layup in the foul. He would foul out later, but that one tied it at 46. Tight game to the final minute. Ryan Conwell on the drive for the Devils. Gets it to go. He led all scorers with 30. Game would go into overtime. Then LN on the run. CJ Gunn tosses it up. DJ Hughes with the finish. He led the Wildcats scoring with 19. Pike would keep it close, but #1 was able to close it out. Hughes to Donovan McCauley for 2 of his 11. Closest game of the season for LN, 64-62. They're headed back to the county tourney finals.
Our bench is developing. They're getting better. They'll still get a little crazy on me once in a while, but they're getting better. And we can't seem to enjoy a lead. We had a lead, and then we give it up. And then we had another lead, and we gave it up. And we have ups and downs, I guess.
Game 2 had Warren Central facing Ben Davis. The Warriors won the regular season meeting just a month ago. 6'8 senior Gabriel McNary gave them an early edge in this one, working hard inside for 2. The Giants would answer with Trevor Nibbs hitting from the baseline. Game went back and forth all night. Malik Stanley on the drive for Warren. Down to the wire, a 1-point win for Dub C, 55-54. They'll move on to face LN, the championship game tomorrow night at Southport. Dave Marin continues our coverage with another pair of Friday matchups.
We start off this week's hoops action with New Palestine visiting Pendleton Heights. The Arabians fresh off winning the Madison County tournament last week, and after starting 0-4, they've put together 3 straight wins. But New Pal's looking to have something to say about that. Steele Brassfield hits from the corner, a 7-0 run to start. But the Arabians with some nice passing in the paint. Gabe Simons finds Zion Cook cutting for 2. Then Luke Cannonati from 3-point land. But the Dragons pull it out down the stretch. Brassfield, the hoop, and the foul. New Pal goes on to get the win tonight, 55-34. Over to Hamilton Southeastern, the 8-1 Royals hosting Westfield. The Royals out shooting in the second half. Sam Jacobs nails the 3. Then Vinny Busella drives, hoop, and the foul. But the Shamrocks' Nick DePasquale camping out underneath, gets the easy 2. Then he's dishing it out, gets it over to Trey Dorton for the layup. Westfield building on their lead. That's when Cade Buttersworth takes it outside, hits the 3. Westfield will get the win tonight, 77-68. Dave Marin, WRTV Sports.
Our home too.
Right now, you do not have to travel to Memphis to visit the famous home of the king. Graceland is opening its doors to online tours. The virtual visits are 2 hours long. Guests will see the home meditation garden where Elvis Presley is buried and his private jet. Tickets cost $100. The first virtual tour is scheduled for January 27th. Kevin.
If you're planning on eating out on the back patio tomorrow, you'll have to clean it off. Kyle Mount sent this picture. A nice little snow up to an inch in spots, and we'll see an additional 1 to 2 inches over the next 48 hours. So watch out for slick spots. Have a good weekend. Mark?
Yes, we want you to have a good weekend and a safe weekend. Thanks for joining us here at 11. Good night.